Oh, g'day, it's Reg here. Sorry about that, had a bit of a fall. Anyway, today I'm going to attempt to refurbish this mid-century table. I've never done it before, so I'm just going to bring you along for the journey and we'll see how it turns out, eh? So anyway, I just went down to the local hardware store and I picked up some stripper, and not the type of stripper you find at the nightclub. And got some lacquer thinner, little 1 quart mixing container, obviously some polyurethane. You want to get a cheap brush to apply the stripper, and a good brush to apply the polyurethane at the end. Need some sandpaper, some finishing sandpaper, and just some gloves so you don't get all that poly on your hands, you know what I mean? Right, so I'm just applying this stripper here. Now just dump it on and just use it. This is what I'm using the cheap brush for. Nice thick layer. Get it all on there. Yeah. You need to use a well ventilated area because the stuff's bloody strong, you know. I let the stripper sit for 15 minutes and then scraped off the old coat, which came off a lot easier than I expected. Use an old cardboard box to dump the waste into as you scrape it off. See what, they don't make things like they used to, do they? A couple of burn marks here from someone who used it, some bloody smoking bugger. Probably smoking the wacky backy. Little kids these days, eh? I used a piece of steel wool on the edges of the table. Finally, I applied some lacquer thinner and used another piece of steel wool just to scrape off anything that I'd missed earlier. After it dried, it was time to start sanding. I started off with 100 grit, then went to 120, and then finished off with a 180 grit. This table had a veneer top, so I had to be careful how much I sanded it down. There were a few burn marks, but I decided to leave them because I thought it added a bit of character. I was also concerned about sanding down anymore because I didn't want to break through the veneer top. Right, so here's the table after applying the first coat. I'm sorry I didn't film it, but I had to concentrate and I actually forgot to press record. But as you can see here, unfortunately we got a lot of bubbling, and I'm going to explain to you why that happened next. But as you can see, we had to take it outside and sand down the first coat with a very fine 220 grit sandpaper. So after having an unsuccessful first coat, I decided to do a bit of research, and apparently if you are using oil-based polyurethane, you need to prime your brush with mineral spirits. Apparently it gets out all the air and moisture that might be trapped in the brush. Right, so time for coat number 2. I used a tack cloth to remove any leftover dust, and then I started to apply the polyurethane. So yeah, I just want to tell you about another mistake I made while applying the second coat. As you can see, there's direct sunlight coming through the window, which made the work surface very warm and sort of created a rough texture as I tried to smooth it out with a brush. So just make sure if you're applying polyurethane, make sure that it's a cool enough room. So once again, I had to sand my second coat of polyurethane. It was a lot better than the first one, but still needed some sanding. I used 220 grit sandpaper on a sanding block. Alright folks, so just finishing off the last layer of polyurethane here. As you can see, I've put it covered. Now I'm just going through at the end and just making long similar strokes across just to make it nice and smooth. And so by the third coat we finally got it right. A well primed brush and a cooler work environment. Started to look bloody good. And tell you what, this is going to look good once it's dry. This is polyurethane with a satin finish. I was very happy with the results. Right folks, thanks for stopping by, much appreciated. I hope you learned something from this. I certainly learned a lot, and please like and subscribe if you can. And anyway, the name's Reg. I guess I'll see you on the next one.